Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Suzie Wokabi podcast. Today, I have a very, very amazing guest, which is very different from what I've been doing so far. My first American guest. I'm not going to say international because I've had a few international ones, but my first American. And I'm Swiggle, I'm Mandela. I'm just going to go into like your bio because it is very deep. And you're kind of the first person I've interviewed that I haven't interacted with yet. So this is going to be a very, very fun interview.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go into it. Swiggle Mandela wrote his first rap in the year 2000 when he was 9 years old. He started recording on tapes on old stereos from when he was 11. By the time he was 12, he had found a free studio to record at in Portland, exactly Northeast Portland.
Yep, Northeast Portland.
Northeast Portland. And then in middle school, he began giving away CDs and building a fan base. By the time he was 20, he had already opened for Dead Press, D12, my people, those are my people. Oh my gosh.
Wow, yeah.
Yes, and Immortal Technique at the Wonder Ballroom. He has over 50 music videos released and has a passion for video production. Now at 29 years old, he's one of the most prominent hip hop artists in Oregon, performing regularly at venues like Kelly's Olympian and the Roseland Theater. So he also throws shows and has booked over 50 Portland artists. His music is about love and unity, and it's still fun, but can be serious and very deep. And I've listened to a lot of it, and it is.
Oh, wow.
Whether it's going into schools or talking to incarcerated youth, Swiggle Mandela aims to make the world a better place for the next generation. And I welcome him with all the open arms. This is such an amazing story, and I thank you so much for reaching out.
Of course. Thank you. I think this is my first international interview.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my first time.
I'm going to start off very quickly with asking you how you found me or found us and are interested in being interviewed in an international podcast.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of friends. So I'm half Black and Filipino.
Yes.
So I have a lot of family.
Also, but I'm mixed race as well.
Yeah, so I have a lot of family in the Philippines, and then I have a lot of friends just from overseas, different places. Of course, I have friends from Africa as well. And so as I'm getting bigger as an artist, I wanted to find more platforms outside of America, outside of my city to connect with. And so I just went on Instagram and I started to just search for different podcasts, and I saw yours and it was really interesting. I liked the guest that you brought on, and so I decided to reach out to you.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Complete honor. So I want to start with you from, I just gave your biography, but I want to know from you, from the horse's mouth, like, beginning, present, beginning and present, and then we'll talk about the future.
Okay. So I started making music. I started to first write more like poetry when I was in elementary school. I was living in California at the time.
Where?
I live in California.
Where?
Compton, California.
Okay.
Yeah.
I live in the OC and LA.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Yeah, so I was born in Portland, but I my mom wanted to move to Compton. And
Mm-hmm.
so in Compton, that's where I learned a lot just about, I guess there was a lot of Black culture there because Portland is like more than 70% white.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a very white place. So going to Compton was like, there was a lot more Black culture. And
Yeah.
it was kind of a struggle there. My mom was struggling financially, so there was a lot of I experienced poverty there, and I saw a lot of my friends struggling and things like that. And that's when
Right.
I first started to write music. And I think because Compton is a historical place. Dr. Dre is from there.
City of Compton. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ice Cube is from there. And
Mm-hmm.
so, when you're
Oh, no,
living in
Scoop is from
Compton,
London. Sorry.
you kind of have this feeling of like, I can make it because you know that these people have made it out of Compton. And so that's when I first started to write music, and it wasn't very good because I was only 9 years old. Yeah, I showed
Hey
it
man,
to
you
my,
have to start somewhere.
yeah, I showed it to my siblings, and they thought it was funny. And so I kept it a secret. I kept it came back to Portland, and that's when I started
He
to
was
record on
also
the tapes.
interested. He was also interested in hip hop.
Yeah, he was. And he was really like, he showed me a lot of music because he's older than me. So he had all the CDs. He was like, learning more about the history of hip hop, and he would
Yeah.
teach me. Yeah, he would teach me a lot. And so
So
from
he was
there,
one of the first influencers, maybe.
yeah, and me and him, we started to write together. It was almost like a rivalry, just to you have that sibling rivalry. You compete with your
Like
brother.
who can do better? Who can do better?
Exactly, steel sharpens steel. So that's when we started to record on the tapes around like 2001, um, when we came back to Portland. And then there was a summer, um, there was a summer we went to middle school, and then the summer came, so we wanted to just stay home and just hang out and play video games and just watch cartoons, stuff like that. But my
Mm-hmm.
mom was actually like, nah, you guys need to get out the house and go do something constructive. So she discovered the computer clubhouse, and it was a part of the Salvation Army,
Okay.
and they had like a building in my neighborhood, Northeast Portland. And Northeast Portland was really a historically black historically black community in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
It's gentrified now to where a lot of black people got moved out. But
Okay.
yeah, historically it was a black neighborhood. So the Salvation Army was there, and they had like 30 or 40 computers, and we would just you could go there and learn video production. I mean, you could learn uh, graphic design. You could learn music production, how to make
So they're
beats.
teaching you for free?
Yeah, it's a free program, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just for the kids in the neighborhood. All you had to do was go sign up.
Nice.
So yeah, we would go there, and at first I was really nervous because all the kids that were making music there were in high school, and I was only in middle school. So it was kind of intimidating for me. And then so for a while I was just there, and I noticed the studio, but I never wanted to go inside because it wasn't soundproof.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's 20 kids at the studio. So if you go and record, essentially you're performing for those 20 kids. So for a while I didn't go to the studio, but I knew it was there, and I was excited, and I was always at the clubhouse, but I didn't record yet. So it wasn't until I was probably like sixth grade when I started to record there. And one of my friends, he made beats. He was a producer. And
Mm-hmm.
so I asked him, can I have a beat? I was like, yo, can I use one of your beats? And he didn't even know that.
You're in the sixth grade at this time. So like
Yeah,
12 years old, right?
yeah,
Like that?
like yeah, probably like 12. And he didn't even know that I rap because I was always up there, but I was never rapping. And
Mm-hmm.
so he found out that I rapped that day, and he was like, "I'm not gonna give you a beat unless you're gonna go in the studio and record, because you're here
Okay.
every day. It's almost like you're just wasting time if you're not in the studio." So
Good.
I
Good on
agreed,
him.
and I was really nervous, and I went and recorded for the first time. Everybody heard, and then all these kids, they were kind of like my teachers because they were like high schoolers. So to me, they looked like adults. Um, and yeah, they started to teach me. I went in there, I performed. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. And
I'm sure it was fine. Uh-huh.
yeah, I started to take lessons. They started to, show me how to make beats, show me how to record myself, giving me different tips on uh, how to write in bar format, because I didn't even know how to write in bars at first, just like
Yeah.
measuring music. So I learned
That's a
all this
whole
from
skill on
like,
its own.
yeah, for sure. So that's where I started to do that. And then as I started to, give my CDs out at school, show my teachers. And my first show was in middle school. My older brother decided to do a talent show at our middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was scared to even look up at the crowd. I looked down the whole time, and
Aw.
I think I messed up. I was probably like 13. I messed
Yeah.
up on the words, but nobody noticed.
Nice. Well, they didn't know your words anyway, so.
Exactly. And so then, as I got older, uh, there was a summer camp that my mom put me in. Once again, summer came around, and we wanted to just hang out,
Mm-hmm.
play
Mm-hmm.
video games, stay up all
At the
night.
house,
And,
indoors.
yeah, and my
And she's
mom's
like,
like,
get out
"No,
of here.
yep, you're going to summer camp." And so she sent me to a camp called Caldera, and it was very interesting because you go out into the wilderness, but they had buildings that you could go and learn stuff. So at Caldera, I learned photography. There was horseback riding, there
Mm-hmm.
was sewing, there was poetry,
Mm-hmm.
African
So all
drum
sorts
as
of
well.
creative stuff, basically, I
Yeah.
guess,
They,
and outdoorsy stuff.
yep. And so they had African drum as well, African dance as well.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so I would learn a lot there. And I started to perform there. I started to get a little more comfortable performing there because they would have campfire. They would have a campfire every night, and we would like sing, and you could go up and you could do original songs too. Um, and then I knew at Caldera, because I was at Caldera in middle school. And I knew that if you stayed at that camp until high school, you could learn video production. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
always excited. In my mind, I was like, once I get to high school, I'm going to shoot a music video. So high school came. I shot my first music video when I was like 14. Um,
Who
yeah.
said that?
And then that's when I met one of my best friends. His name is Anael, and his family is from Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so little did we know that we were actually neighbors. We met each other out at camp. And when we came home to the city, we wanted to stay in contact, and we found out that we just lived right around the corner from each other. And we were ended up going to the same high school. And
Nice.
so I brought Anael to the Salvation Army so that we
Uh-huh.
could record some music. And when he got there, he just was like, "Nah, this is too low quality. We're not gonna be recording here anymore." And
Okay.
you hear people say a lot of stuff, and he said that he was gonna build us a studio. And so I was like, all right, I'll believe it when I see it.
Like blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, here in Portland, and I think a lot of places, the Haitian community is really known for their hard work and just their work ethic and how they take, they have that hustle from a young, they instill it in their young too. So, his mom was a hard worker. She was always working, and she taught him to work, so he had a job already in high school. He was already, doing his thing. And so a
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks later, he invited me to his house, and he had a new computer. He had a microphone, and we started recording music over there. And
Nice.
yep, there was no more Salvation Army, and we started recording over at his house like every day. And
So better quality. He was sure about it.
yeah, much better quality. And that's when we started to get booked for shows. When I was in high school, that's when we did Dead Prez. We did Immortal Technique.
So wait, tell me about that press. Like what you opened for them or what
Yeah,
was?
I opened for them. So one of my mentors, Mike Crenshaw, he actually does a lot of shows, and he does a tour in Africa. He hasn't done it in a while, but he's done a couple tours in Africa. And
Mm.
so what the show was for was to raise money. I forget which city it was, but we were sending some computers to Africa.
Oh,
And
okay,
yeah,
awesome.
Dead Prez was involved in that. And so they actually came up to my high school because what happened was I had a substitute teacher, and he was like our favorite substitute teacher because, we would just watch like Tupac documentaries when he came.
uh,
Yeah,
Binge watch.
yeah, it was very relaxed when he came. And so one time he came and he put on a documentary for us to just relax in. He told us to write a reflection afterwards, however you want. You could write a poem, you could write, whatever. And so, of course, I wrote a verse, and I shared it to the class, and my substitute teacher was really impressed. And so he asked me, he was like, do you do more than just poetry? Are you a rapper? And yeah, I was like, yeah. And then he told me he was bringing Dead Prez to
Oh
Portland.
my gosh.
Yeah, and that he was the manager of an artist named Mike Crenshaw. And so I was like, okay, wow. And he asked me, did I want to open up? And of course I
Did you
did.
freak out?
Yeah. And then he told me that they were going to bring Dead Prez up to my school and I would be able to meet them. And so they came up to the school. Um, a, a couple of us students were able to go watch them speak and watch them perform a little bit. And then afterwards, I was able to meet them, shake their hand, and I was able to perform for them right then and there. So I think
Wow.
I rapped for like 5 minutes straight. And yeah,
Freestyle or rhymes you had?
it was written. It was written.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
written and memorized. And
okay.
so they were very impressed. And, they asked me, are you coming to the show tonight? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I'm performing. So they were really excited, and that was a good moment. And
Nice.
yeah, that was like my first time at an official venue in Portland, because that the Wonder Ballroom is pretty official. I mean, it's really official.
And then what was the D12 story? My Dirty Dozen story.
Well, D12 was the same situation. Well, not the same, but after I met, his name is Morgan.
Mm.
After I met Morgan and Mike Crenshaw, they kind of just kept giving me opportunities. And so anytime that they had someone come into town, they would contact me. And so once again, they had the Wonder Ballroom, and they said, "Yo, we're bringing D12." And I always listen to D12, a big fan. And
Mm-hmm.
so of course I wanted to do it. And I think I was either 18 or 19, maybe just fresh out of high school. And so, yeah, that was another big show. The crowd was probably like one of the biggest crowds I did at that time.
I can
And
imagine. So
yeah,
was
they
it in
showed a lot of
Portland?
love.
This was in Portland.
Yeah, it was in Portland.
Okay, okay. And then so since high school, since You're only 29.
Yeah.
So how did your career escalate, like after high school and thereafter until now?
So after high school, I really wanted to figure out how to make it a career. Um, and so I had already in high school, those same people, Morgan and Mike Crenshaw, they had got
Mm-hmm.
me a grant. They got me a grant to where I could throw my own show.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, when I was around 17, 16 and 17, they got me a grant, and me and Anael and my older brother, JC Cordetta, we all we went venue hunting. We found a venue. We found security. We paid security. We got a sound system, and we threw a show for the first time. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, we charged people at the door. We sold tickets. We had flyers, and so that was kind of my introduction into like event planning and event production. And
Nice.
so that's when I started. The show started to become a big thing. Started to throw my own shows because even though I would get booked, you know, I had good friends who booked me for those shows, and I started to get booked at other shows as well.
I'm
Um,
gonna ask you, like for me, event planning is like gives me hypertension. Like
yeah,
that's something else that you do apart from being an artist. Like, and you do it okay. Like you're fine with that.
yeah, it is. It does have its. It gives. It does have its stressful moments. Of course, it's a lot of pressure to get everybody there and make sure that you're making a profit, and
Mm-hmm.
that the security and it's safe for everyone. So it's definitely a
Yeah.
lot of pressure. But I've gotten more used to it. And so I think that became a big part of what I was doing. And I also started to collaborate with different genres around that time.
Mm-hmm.
I started to do a lot of stuff with punk rock bands.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a different knowledge that they were teaching me. This is probably like 2009, 2010. They taught me
Mm-hmm.
about press releases so that I could get in the newspaper. Um, they were just teaching me about, you know, they had a real fan base and a real
So like
scene.
a lot of PR stuff.
Yeah. So I
But
started to
but
learn
wait,
that.
but then beforehand, like when all these people are finding you, your PR was kind of good, I think. But
It
it
was
just
pretty
got
good.
better.
Yeah, yeah, it got better. And it got more because a lot in school, I had a lot more, you know, you can go to school and you kind of have an audience there. You know, I can give away CDs at school. My substitute teacher ended up being a promoter. And so after school, I had to
There's
figure out,
connections being made, right?
yeah. So I had to make more connections after school. And
Mm.
um, yeah, I started to throw shows and meet more people that owned venues and more, you know, my friends, of course, were excited. And a lot of my friends and my peers were coming to the shows, and then
And
collaborating with
putting your name
genres.
out there.
Yep. And then, you know, working with the punk scene, I started to get another fan base that I didn't really have before. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it just kept growing. And then I started to work with artists from Seattle and
Mm-hmm.
started to go up there and getting fans in Seattle and getting fans
Mm-hmm.
outside of my city. Um, and yeah, and then my show started to get bigger and bigger. I started to book more artists outside of just, you know, my friends. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we started to become really known for throwing parties and throwing events and throwing shows. And
Nice.
and then I
Mm.
was able to start shooting more music videos in Portland because the camp I went to, Caldera,
Mm-hmm.
they're actually started by a company, well, they're funded by a company called Wyden and Kennedy. And the Wyden family is the ones who started Caldera. And the
Mm-hmm.
White Infinity, they actually did commercials for Nike. They do commercials for Coca-Cola, and they're a really, really big company. And so
Okay.
I didn't know that growing up. You know, I just went to camp. I didn't know that it was this big organization. And so as I
Right.
got older, I learned that these were my teachers. You know, they know Michael Jordan. They, you know what I'm saying, made up Just Do It. And
Yeah. Oh, wow.
yeah,
What?
really, really crazy. I have some crazy stories about just like figuring out who my teachers actually were. So
Wow.
I went downtown Portland and um, to their building, and I was able to. They let me borrow their cameras because I was too old to go to camp at that point. 'Cause you age out after high school, and so
Mhm.
you know, they kept working with me, and that was, I'm really grateful for that. They let me use their cameras, and then I started to shoot music videos as an adult, and then that really helped my career, you know, take off. Because in 2009, 10, 11, video production started to become this big thing. Like if you didn't have a music video, it was almost like you didn't have a song.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I started to release more music videos, more and more, and also helping other artists in the city, you know what I'm saying, film their videos and kind of just pioneering that in the city and
Or
helping
is
people.
it just you mentoring or you collaborate?
A little bit of both. A little bit of
Okay.
both. We would shoot music videos for other artists if they wanted to pay us, or if they were a good friend, we'd shoot it for free. But
Okay.
yeah, so started to
Nice.
shoot videos, and then let me think here. Oh, probably like I think 2011. My older
Mm-hmm.
brother got incarcerated, and so my whole life since middle school, it was me and my older brother. We always made music
You
together.
were together doing the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like we were like a duo, you know.
Uh,
Everybody knew us together. When we recorded music or did a video or did a show, everyone knew we were going to be together. So um, he got incarcerated in 2011, and
mm-hmm.
that kind of made me have to, you know, take the whole weight on my shoulders. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it really made me have to, you know, compensate for him not being there. I had to write a whole bunch of new music, um,
Mm-hmm.
and just rebrand myself as
Yeah.
an
So you're
artist.
probably like turning from, okay, you're creative, but then you have to also be a bit of an entrepreneur by
Yep.
yourself at this time.
And then that's when my younger brother, he was already making music, but he was just still learning and becoming more comfortable and becoming bigger. But that's when my little brother really had to step up. Um, my little brother's name is Timothy, but he goes by Timmy Hendrix. And
Hi,
that's when he
Timmy.
really had to, yeah, shout out to Timmy. He really
Mm-hmm.
had to step up, and he had to be at all the shows. He had to start doing all the shows with me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he had to start recording more music and becoming more of an artist with me as well as a solo artist.
Mm-hmm.
He started shooting the music videos, and you know, he just really had to step up and fill that void.
And so you said it was two brothers and then a sister. Is she involved in your music world?
Not too much, not too much musically. She can sing, but she doesn't. I think um, she's more of like a religious person. She's a little more, you know, a little more strict in her life. So I think our style, our lifestyle didn't really mix. But we do have music together, and she has worked with me on different projects.
Okay.
But
And
yeah, but me and my brothers are mostly the ones.
so through your career building, and then your brother left, and you had to do this on your own, get your little brother into it. Your parents, either mom or dad, like what was their reaction like for you?
Well, my mom was very supportive. There was a point in time where my mom was like helping me with manage me a little bit, finding my venues, helping me on the business end. And
Nice.
my dad is Filipino, so
Mm-hmm.
he was a little more strict.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't born in America, so
Mm-hmm.
his mind is a little bit different. And my dad works on a team of architects, so he's educated, and he
Like a
also,
bit corporate like type thing.
yeah, and so he's also in the National Guard. So,
Wow.
but he's in the Army band, so he plays guitar in the National Guard.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, yeah, so I grew up watching my dad on stage, watching him on TV all the time, just with the band, and going to his shows, whether it be with the Army band or with a smaller band. And so he really wanted to see it work as a business,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and we were having a lot more fun at the time rather than the business side.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so,
always the better part.
yeah, and so my dad was a little bit concerned. Um, he at times he didn't really know how big I was, so
Mm-hmm.
he wanted me to maybe go to school, or go join the National Guard, or do something
Be a
more,
lawyer or something.
yeah, do something more practical. And so that was his attitude at the time. Now he's very supportive because things have changed a lot. My career's changed a lot, but he was still supportive at the time. Just he's a very realistic thinker, because like my dad took me to the Philippines when
Mm-hmm.
when I was 19. I believe he took me to the Philippines. And when I was in the Philippines, I remember he forced me on stage at a restaurant. And it's because, in the Philippines there's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of
Yeah.
poor people. And
Talking to me from Kenya. Yeah.
yeah. And so my family is a lot more well off. So we, wherever we go, we're pretty respected, and we have a lot of opportunity. And
Mm-hmm.
so because we who we are at this restaurant, he was like, "You can get on stage if you want to," and I was like, I don't know, maybe. And he was like, "Nah, you gotta go up there." So, he was still supportive, even though he just wanted to see it work.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This might not have been his career choice for you, but then
Yeah.
if you've chosen this, then can it work?
And then
So I'm gonna
especially
ask you,
because when my brother went to jail, that was really scary for the family. So that kind of,
is he still incarcerated?
he actually came home. He came home in 2018, and
Oh,
yeah, when he came home, everything got bigger. Everything got bigger.
oh,
Yeah, once again.
fantastic. So you're
Yeah.
back together and doing the thing.
Yep. Yep.
So I've seen, okay, so I've been binge watching you.
Okay.
Um, am I going to say correctly that your latest video or hit song is the Dear Portland Police? Is that
Yeah.
it, or is this one after? That's the
Well,
latest.
last month I put out 3 music videos, but that was
Okay,
one of them.
so
That's
that
definitely the biggest, and
is
the biggest.
so amazing. I love
Thank.
everything about it. So I'm going to ask you just quickly, what do you know about Kenya and the African or Kenyan music scene?
I
Do you
actually
know?
don't. I don't know a lot.
Mhm.
I know I've heard music from there, but I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know a lot. I
Okay.
wanna I wanna
So
I
I
wanna
will,
learn
I will,
more.
and then I'll keep educating you since we're
Okay.
friends now,
Yeah.
because there's so much going on and it's so amazing. So, and we, Africa is 54 countries. It's not one country, and there's music from all of them. And
Yeah.
you would probably love something from each one. Now, you know what I can't do with you, like before I let you go, is not go a slight bit political, because I know you're an advocate, you're an activist. apart from being a superstar and an entrepreneur and all that.
Of course, yes.
So, can I ask you a few questions about the situation as it is
Yeah.
and how you're living, right? So, how come there's no Black people on the front lines in Portland? So, yes, there's it's a small Black demographic, but how come there's no Black people ever pictured in the front lines, especially like in this time that we're all going through?
I think that,
Is
well,
there not? Are there no people, or they're just not being featured?
it's probably a little bit of both. I think that there are less of us here, of course. And then, so if we are photographed or put on the news, because one of my friends, we were just on the news. So there's a little bit, we do get out there, but at the same time, I think there's so many white people that
Yeah.
it's
Did you say
easier.
70% white?
Yeah, maybe more, but it's very, very white. But I think that, so because there's so many white people, if someone is taking pictures or if there's someone is filming, they're likely gonna get some white people.
That's true.
But at the
That
same
is true.
time, I think that sometimes honestly it's really dangerous, and a lot of Black people feel that it should be white people in front because of the danger factor.
It's
And
fear. It's
yeah,
fear.
for sure,
Yeah.
because the police are using they're using force, they're using violent force.
Yeah.
um, and there's also sometimes there's crazy protesters on the other side. And so I think it's almost like a shield that we're not always on the front because it's
It's
almost
better
like,
to stay. It's better to stay away.
yeah, and it's their job. We
So
feel
that
that
so
they,
that goes to my next question. Like now, um, voting. Like voting is too important. Like,
hmm
does your state understand this? But
my state, yeah, we understand, and I think that my state is usually democratic the way that it votes. Um, so we do understand, and I think that it can be a deeper understanding, especially with people of color, because a lot of times we just feel that we feel that our voice isn't being heard, and that we don't really have a place in politics because we rarely get what we want. And so I think that it is important to keep educating people and keep getting people out there.
completely, education is like too important. Look at your new potential vice president. Hello.
Yeah, for sure. That would be historical.
Yes, please, can that happen? And then, lastly, in that, I wanted to ask you about the climate situation,
Yeah.
exactly as you are feeling it right now. Like, what is going on today? Today is the 16th of September.
Well, here in
Yeah.
Oregon,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of wildfires. So,
Mm-hmm.
hold on, like 1 second. Okay, sorry about that.
No
But yeah,
problem.
there's a bunch of wildfires. So, oh man, I don't even know how many there are at this point. But it's
So you guys, I
very,
mean, the air quality there is crazy, right?
yeah, you got to stay indoors. There's smoke everywhere. Yeah,
And then you guys have a big, like, you guys have also a big, like, homeless population,
yes,
right?
yeah.
And so,
There,
where are they going?
I'm not sure that they're like they're setting up different shelters for them, but honestly, I still see people just camping on the street
Out and
because
about out there.
yeah, there's a lot of just like communities where there may be, 5 to 10 or 20 to 30, tents, camp. So there's a
And
lot. And I don't know if I think a lot of them may still just have to be out there in the smoke, which is very unfortunate. And yeah, so we're
wow.
hoping that Oregon is really famous for rain, and it hasn't rained in a while, so
Mm-hmm.
we're just hoping for the rain because yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is
So
crazy.
it's a whole climate issue, obviously. So
Yeah,
that's not
and we
okay.
need
That's
more
not
people to just we need more people caring about the forests. We got to take better care of that. So yeah.
exactly. Awesome. So I'm so glad to meet you. And you are also, I'm going to just say, like, you seem like such, you've gone away from this interview twice. You are a new father, but you have
Yep.
two babies, two girls,
Yep.
and your wife, and you're holding it down.
Yep.
So you are obviously a very, very good influence, and everyone should look up to you.
For sure.
So great, great, great. Anything you want to cover that, like anything that's coming out that you want us to talk about, and then as we wrap up.
Well, I'm working on an album now. Um, I was gonna call it The Movement, but I think I'm gonna
Mhm.
change the name to I'm gonna call it The Motion Picture. So I'm working
Okay.
on that.
You are such. I know you're such a creative, so that might even change tomorrow. Like it might just keep rolling in your head.
Yeah,
And good
yeah.
luck with that. And I am going to keep watching you. What are all your credentials? Where's everyone finding you?
Swiggle Mandela, Swiggle, Mandela like Nelson, and you can put that in on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, anywhere where you listen to music, Amazon, Tidal, anywhere where you stream music, you can find me, Swiggle Mandela. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Send me a message, I'll talk to you. Yeah.
Fantastic. I am still going to keep on binge listening to your stuff, so
Thank
I'll
you.
keep bugging you.
Of
And
course.
thank you for doing such an amazing job.
Thank you so much.
So, so nice talking to you.
It's nice talking to you. This is my first interview, international interview, and my first interview, my first African interview. So I really appreciate it.
Yay! Yay!
Yes, yes,
I got it. I got it.
yes, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank you for reaching out.
Okay. Well, let
Let's
me
keep in
know.
touch. Keep
Yes, of
talking to me.
course. We'll keep building.
Tell me when things are coming out. I want to know. I want to know everything.
Definitely, definitely.
Awesome. And I will keep you posted also on my stuff.
Yeah, keep me, educate me, show me
Yeah,
new
yeah, I'll
artists,
tell
new
you. And
music.
there's so much to know about this country and this continent that you may not know, and I will keep you posted.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. This
Okay,
was great. Thank you so much.
we'll do it again.
And take care. And say hi to your babies.
Thank you.
All
You too. All right.
right. Bye.